Today, we're going to talk about a video that started this entire YouTube channel. It's the 10-year, or should I say 10-year anniversary of Scarowinds the movie on Haunt Culture. Today, we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Scarowinds the movie!
Woo!
10 years ago, August 1st, I released the Scarowinds movie. It's just crazy to me it's been 10 years. It feels like yesterday. That was just one of the hugest honors of my life, getting to make that movie.
So we're going to take you through, mostly Leroy, is going to take you through some of the leading up to the movie, the making of the film, and then at the end, we'll talk about the aftermath. How influential that movie really became for an entirely new generation of monsters.
It all started back in 2008 when I started out at Scarowinds. I was a shy, braced-faced junior in high school.
Aww.
And this was my first job. Going into my first job interview, I remember that audition. I'll never forget it. Beyond nervous. I was scared out of my mind. And I walked in there were two other people with me, and there was a panel of judges. One of those judges would later become someone I highly look up to and consider a friend, Monica. They had us do a few things for them, see how spooky we are. And by the end of it, I was not confident in myself. I'm like, I'm not gonna get this. And I remember Monica saying, "Congratulations, you've all made it in. Welcome to the Scarowinds family." That was the best feeling.
Chills.
The best. I was a zombie in Final Summons. I was just, by the end of that season, blown away at the community of people that were there. It was just so supportive, people from all different backgrounds. And I just remember at the end of that season thinking, someone should make a documentary about this place. It's so cool.
Foreshadowing.
So as the years went by, I would bring my camera to the water park to film the shenanigans before we go out. And then I would give the camera to my dad to go walk around the park to film us being spooky and stuff.
That's so cool.
So, I could make videos for the monsters at the end of the year just for us to enjoy. But then it got up to a few years and I'm like, I got all of this footage of Scarowinds just sitting here. I gotta do something with it. The other thing was around this same time, people were back when the Scarowinds Facebook page, we had a page just for us monsters. It was very active throughout the year. People would post their impact stories of how Scarowinds impacted them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it gave people the courage to come out to their parents. I mean, it changed people's careers and life. Like, it was incredible hearing this. And I'm like, people need to hear this. Someone's got to tell this story. The season of 2013, I emailed Monica and Kelly, who were the higher-ups at that time, my idea, and they were like, absolutely.
Hi everyone, it's me, Leroy of Leroy Production Studios. I got a message from Kelly. It's going to be interesting. Kelly and Monica apparently are going to give me some additions and changes to my outline, which I'm fine with because I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to tell the world about Scarowinds, and yet I don't want to make a 3-hour movie. Because I feel like it'd take that or more to explain the full hit of Scarowinds. It's pretty epic. So I'm making this video because hopefully everything works out and I get to show this video as an extra on my website. I was pretty excited, like, wow. Because I've been wanting to do this project for years, So it's a big moment for me. It's probably one of the biggest projects I've ever had. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
I couldn't believe it.
That's the hardest part
about
any of this, is getting approval to do anything. It's Scarowinds.
And I mean, I owe them so much because they were supportive every step of the way. They let me film pretty much anything I wanted, very few restrictions, and they went through the proper channels to get permission for me to make this movie. I just couldn't believe it. We waited until halfway through the season to announce it to the other monsters. Me and Monica did a little video announcing it. People were so excited, and I had a huge list of people that wanted to be a part of the movie. What we did to film is we would come super early, like 3 o'clock or so on a Friday. And I would have this huge group of people here with me, and we had complete access to the whole park. We couldn't film in the mazes, obviously, but out in the scare zones, any park decor, we would go around and we'd film everybody in front of, with that as the backdrops. And by the end of that season, I had a whole bunch of footage. So I sat on that for about a year. I think about May of 2014 is when the movie was done. Got to come into Scarowinds off when I wasn't hired yet, meet with Monica, Kelly, and another higher up at that time, Zach, to show them the movie in a conference room.
Ooh.
And get feedback and their permission, of course, to show the movie. And they had very few notes, honestly. They were very cool with it coming out as it is. And then they offered, hey, would you like to premiere this at the Scarowinds Rehire event? Yes!
That's
yes.
so cool.
Oh my gosh, that was so great. So the rehire came up. It was time to show the movie. Played the movie, and it's like leading up halfway through, and the movie stopped. And it was weird because it wasn't on a DVD. It was on like a little hard drive. So I don't know why it was stopping. I'm frantically in the back trying to get it to go, and it's just not getting past this part. And it got to the point where Monica was like, if this movie doesn't start this time, we're going to have to cut it and move on. And I was like, no!
Oh, no.
After all this work, I wanted to show, all the people I love in that room, this movie. And I took one more attempt, and it went past it, and we got to finish the movie.
Woo!
But it was a huge success. Everyone loved it. And then I released the movie on YouTube in August.
Just in time to hype up the next Scarowinds season.
That's right. The reaction was mind-blowing. People, I've never had anything shared as much as that video was. All over Facebook, everywhere, people were sharing it. The views were just going up by the thousands a day. My subscribers went from like 10 to 400. It was a huge step for me. It was a huge step for this YouTube channel. But of course, the best part was just the reactions. People were really moved by it, loved it. Eventually, I realized I had all this extra footage that didn't make it into the movie. So I asked Monica and Kelly if I could do a series, and that's what led to Scarowinds, the series. We did it for 2 seasons. For years after, I didn't put myself in the movie. You could see me like in like a couple shots, but I didn't want to like interview myself. I felt that was weird.
All right, Leroy to Leroy, we good? Leroy, good. Leroy, here we go.
See, that was just too awkward for me. I wanted to tell everybody else's stories. So people didn't know who I was, so people wouldn't come up directly to me and be like, oh wow, that was great. I would hear it from other monsters like, hey, this guy told me he got the job here because he saw that movie. People were really attached to the movie. That felt really good. I wanted people to know about this community of people that put on this Halloween event. They're incredible. Just the community is so strong. I have a lot of friends there. We don't talk all the time, but I know if I'm in trouble and I need them, I pick up the phone, they'll be right here. Yeah. That's just the Scarowinds way. I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to that are just Scarowinds people.
Aww.
I stuck with Scarowinds for 12 years. The last year I was part of Scarowinds, it was really surreal for me because I was a manager. I was manager over the Blood Yard with another cool manager. And shout out to all our lovely vampires. It was a great experience getting to see the new future of Scarowinds and these vampires, as well as getting to share my experiences with them to pass on the torch. I didn't know it was going to be my last season, but it was a perfect one to end on for me.
Piggybacking off of the aftermath of the Scarowinds movie, I first started monstering in 2015. Fresh out of high school, first year college student, I was like, I want a weekend job. I was an actor, and I was like, I love Halloween. I did once back home in Columbia. And so I started looking into Scarowinds, and I was like, Scarowinds walkthrough, Scarowinds monsters. The first thing that popped up for me was the Scarowinds movie. Like, I clicked on it, and it starts, and I was like, oh yeah, this is one of those videos that you watch all the way through. This was when I was just like, I don't know if I want to audition. I was leaning in the direction of auditioning, and I was like, I don't know. going to a whole nother city. I'm starting a new chapter in my life. And I watched that video, and that video solidified for me that I wanted to be a part of this community. And leading up, I first watched that video in probably July 2015, so a little less than a year after it came out. And I just, any chance I could, I watched it. Like, at least 200 of those views are just from me. I'm gonna be so honest. My Scarowinds audition, I watched it at least 3 times, like, the days leading up to my audition. I listened to it in the car driving up to my audition, and I was like, okay, I just need to be a person. Because really that's all it is. And that's really what the movie showed me, was anybody can do this. You can be a person, and you'll find your community in this family that it really was in the 2015s. Leading up to my very first night of Scarowinds, I watched that video relentlessly. I sent it to my friends. When I went to my location training, and I found out I was placed in 7th Ward, I literally went up to everybody and I was like, watch this video, watch this video, watch this video, watch this video. My path with Leroy never crossed until 2019. And I vividly remember sitting in that room on my birthday in 2019 and them announcing, you're the supervisor over this. And it said, Leroy, and then my name. And I remember looking at Brian and going, is that Leroy guy? And Brian was like, yeah. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God. This man is like a Scarowinds legend. Like, he has solidified, like, this movie that he created solidified my decision to do this and calmed a lot of my anxieties going into my first year as a monster. I was so, like, starstruck and, like, in awe of the whole thing. Like, but Leroy's just a guy. Leroy's just a guy. And I think that movie, I remember watching it and watching some of the people that were interviewed ended up being some monsters and supervisors that I ended up becoming really close with and looked up to. And Monica and Kelly were a huge part of my Scarowinds experience. They're the ones that pushed me to go from monster to skeleton key to talent manager to supervisor. Even still seeing Monica in the park nowadays, I'm just like, queen. I have friends that auditioned years after I started. My cousin, she will be a first-year monster this year. She's joining the Scarowinds family. I still send that video to people because I still think the message of the community, while it is drastically different than what it was, it is still a place for outcasts. It is still a place for those of us who feel like we don't have a niche, we don't have a group that we fit in. It is still that place. And this movie is timeless in my opinion. And I think from watching it for the first time in 2015 to, I think the last time I watched it was a couple months ago, I'll be honest with you. Oh. I was like, I miss Scarowinds. Leroy, Scarowinds movie. From everybody that watched that video, to you, thank you, Leroy, for giving us that insight, for giving us the confidence, the courage to go out. I remember sitting in the audition and people being like, did you see that Scarowinds movie that's on YouTube? And they're like, yeah, dude, I feel so much better being here now. And I was like,
dang.
So, the man, the myth, the legend, y'all.
And I do want to go back to Monica and Kelly because they did so much to create and support the community that was there at Scarowinds. It's just incredible what they did. They had an open door policy where even in the off season, they made it known, like, if you're having dark thoughts, if you feel alone, reach out. You just don't find that out in the job world today.
Yeah.
That was just incredible. And they knew how to make a warm, fun atmosphere for us monsters. Thank you, Monica and Kelly, for all that you do. The true hearts of Haunt.
If you want to be a monster, whether that be at Scarowinds, whether that be at your local haunt, whether that be at Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood or Orlando.
Or Fearophobia in Australia.
Oh, yeah!
Hey.
Shout out to Pumpkin! My queen.
Hell yeah.
Go. Take that leap. If you want some inspiration, go check out the Scarowinds movie because, like I said, it's timeless and it'll ease at least a little bit of that anxiety going into everything.
I will end on this. I went into Scarowinds with zero confidence, nervous as hell, shy high schooler. And by the end of it, I mean, it had built so much confidence in myself. Never thought I was going to be anything close to on Scare Force, let alone make a documentary about Scarowinds. But she's right. You got to just take a chance. Go for it.
That first step is always the hardest. Ooh, what would 2008 Leroy think?
2008, Leroy. Well, first of all, like, damn, look at that beard. Thank you to everyone who has supported Scarowinds the movie, Scarowinds the series, and even haunt culture over the years. All this haunt content. Appreciate you and all that you people do. All you spooky people out there.
If you like the spooky, the scary, the creepy, and you want to see what else we do on this channel, hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Because it's spooky season, folks. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that bell notification to make sure that you get notified when those videos get released.
Follow us on our social media.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, all those good things linked down below.
And we hope that you
Keep it spooky. Subscribe and hit that bell notification.